Okay, confession time. I thought this next guest would be my academia guest. You know, at home teaching, researching, basically professor stuff. She's one of the sharpest, nicest, most inspirational people I've met on my life's journey, and she's blessed so many people with her gifts that I couldn't wait to see where she'd want to focus. I admit, I had no idea that she'd feel most at home in silent meditation. It honestly makes me want to go back and take my meditations a bit more seriously and do them more consistently. I try to bring you something new every month, and this month is no exception. I hope you enjoy this conversation with a longtime friend of mine. And please tell a friend about what I'm doing here if you like it. So I want to welcome my good friend, longtime friend, Modupe Akinola, to the podcast. Now, Modupe, I always start by trying to give people a sense of who they're listening to. So can you introduce yourself to the people?
Yes, I can. I'm Modupe Akinola. I'm a tenured professor at Columbia Business School. I am a former business person who got into academia after life in business and decided to make a contribution to the world of business via academia. I'm a proud New Yorker, born and raised in New York. I also am the proud child of African immigrants. What else? I have two sisters, five nieces, and a nephew, and as a result, I'm happily child free. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, and Modupe, how would you say we know each other? Because we've known each other probably over 20 years now.
We have known each other forever. I mean, since I was in college, I knew you. Since we went to college in the same town, I knew your sister. And then we got to know each other even better through our time at Bain and Company when I was there, both before business school and after business school. So Bain is what really brought us together.
Right. Now, I remember one of our first conversations, I asked you what you were going to do after Bain. Were you going to apply to business school? And you responded something like, oh, well, I already got into business school. I'm going to Harvard. And I was like, who is this person talking like this craziness? And then I was like, oh, she's the real deal. And so I was really excited to have you on today because you're one of those people that I've always admired and all the amazing things that
Oh,
you've done. And having you on the pod is just going to be amazing. So thanks for joining today.
well, thank you for having me because the feeling is absolutely mutual.
Now, Modupe, I admit silent meditation is 100% not what I thought you were going to call home when I called you to do the podcast. But for those who may not be familiar with it, can you just describe what it is in a sentence or two before we get into my normal set of questions?
Yes. So silent meditation is essentially spending as much time as you choose to spend by yourself in your own thoughts, being present with all that's going on in your mind, but trying to focus on your breathing or on sensations or on something instead of letting your monkey mind go all the time. And you can do that by yourself. And also, you can do that in a community of meditators with those around you also focusing and centering themselves in silence.
So I did some meditation in high school way back in the day. And I think we
What?
were probably too young and immature to really get what we were supposed to get out of it. There were many a time in my religion class where I was 100% asleep on the floor. No question about it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What was your first taste of silent meditation? When you first experienced it, and somebody said, hey, you should try this. What was that like for you?
Exactly like what you just said. And at that point, it was a guided meditation.
Hmm.
It was probably 10 years ago, a guided meditation, and I fell right asleep. I mean, I don't think it was more than 10 minutes. I was out after like a couple minutes, done. And I was like, oh, okay, I can't do this stuff. And then I'm like, really, I'm supposed to be sitting here not thinking about anything? It was just a weird thing to me.
Right, because we have similar backgrounds, and there's always like 100 things going on at work, in life, and in hobbies and passions. And the idea that you would just sit with your thoughts and focus on your breathing, it's like, I got things to do.
Exactly. Like, why? Why would I do that? Why would I take out that time when I could spend that hour doing and crossing off things on my to-do list?
Right.
No.
There's a profile that goes with that I'm pretty sure we share. So if that was your first taste of it when somebody recommended and you tried this guided meditation, When did you know you were going to make it your home? And what I mean by that is, when did it become something that wasn't going to be something you did from time to time, but something that you needed to make a part of your life and become a part of you?
Well, it's interesting because I always felt so rejuvenated after I did one of these meditations. So even if it was the 5 minutes when I fell asleep, I woke up like, oh wow, my body needed that rest.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was something about that mind body connection that being still allowed me to get that rest that I somehow needed but couldn't allow myself to do. That was the first indication.
Mm-hmm.
And then there came a time where it was like, okay, I have time to find myself more, or I want to take more time to figure out what's going on with me. And so I started gradually extending that time from 5 minutes to 15 minutes to an hour. But that's the sped up version. I'm happy to go in more detail about how I got to the hour.
Well, I think it's interesting because the difference between rest and sleep.
Yeah.
And I started using Peloton, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago before the pandemic. And I got into the
Mm-hmm.
rest of the app. And I checked the other day, and I've done over 100 meditations. And I find
Wow.
that sometimes I'm doing it to keep my streak alive. Turns out 5 minute meditation counts. But other
Yes.
times, like things are just going crazy. And I will just go
Mm-hmm.
down to the gym in our house, turn out the lights, put on a 15-minute meditation, and just sit and try and focus. My mind will wander, but I will always
Yes.
try and come back and just be like, I need to turn my brain off for a minute. Not sleep. I just need to
Yes.
turn my brain off.
And you feel alive again, almost like refreshed, or that's at least been my experience, where I'm like, I can breathe again because you feel suffocated when there's all that's going on
Right.
in your mind.
Right.
And so those benefits, they're limitless. It changes the whole dynamic.
Right. Now, you said that you increased the time to about an hour, but I would say, from my perspective, when it became your home is when you went to a 10-day meditation retreat of some sort. And I asked my wife about this, and she was totally dumbfounded. She was like, maybe I'll go for a day. 10 days? Absolutely not. How does that happen? How did somebody say, hey, you know what you should try? I get the 5 minutes, but when somebody comes to you and says, hey, you should try a 10-day silent meditation retreat, I'd probably laugh somebody off the phone. Why did you say yes? How did that happen?
Well, the acupuncturist who first introduced me to
Mm-hmm.
this idea of the mind body connection and the importance of it, and she was also the woman or the person who got me to do the 5 minutes first. And this was about 7 years ago, and I had recently separated from my now ex-husband. And I had a free Christmas because I used to always go to my in-laws for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and my family's all in New York, so I didn't have to be at home for Christmas. And so I was thinking, well, what do I want to do? What experience might I want to have? I'm like, maybe I'll go hiking in Nepal. Maybe I'll go to a beach and then my acupuncturist was like, well, what about a 10-day silent meditation? And I kind of said, that actually feels perfect for me. I think that that's something that I want to do. And I had a friend who had done it
Okay.
before, and
Okay.
she said she came out just looking at the world in such a different way. So that was part of the motivation. My acupuncturist had clearly done it too. So people I trusted had done it. Now, me, I decide I'm going to go do it in India. Now, they hadn't done that, but that's what I decided to do.
Right.
But it just felt like a natural progression in terms of where I was in wanting to do deep introspection in a way that really stilled all the noise around me.
I'm gonna stay parked here for a second. What happens over the course of 10 days at one of these things?
Oh, okay. So I'll share what day one is. You get there and you do all the logistics, figure out your room and all that
Right.
that
Right.
you've been assigned. And then you get a couple of hours where you just get to talk to people around you. You talk to the instructors in case there's anything you want to share with them. And then by 6 p.m. that night is your first moment of silence. And basically from every day from 4:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night, you're meditating on and off, either in a larger hall or in your room for 10 hours a day.
And what type of guidance do you get on the meditation? It's probably not a guided meditation, but they give you materials to read to get you through. I'm picturing like me just sitting there going, well, what do I do now?
Well, so what's interesting is the meditation that I do for the 10 days,
Mm-hmm.
it's called Vipassana meditation. And the idea behind Vipassana is that the more attuned you are to your breathing and the sensations on your body, the more you will learn how to be present and proactive versus reactive in life.
Mm-hmm.
Because the idea is that every reaction you have is preceded by a sensation. And so if you're attuned to those sensations, then you'll be more thoughtful about your reactions. So, what happens in those 10 days is that there is an instructor, and this is somebody who is, he started this practice. I won't go into details, but he is guiding you through the meditation and through the process of attuning to your breathing and feeling the sensations on your body.
Got it. So,
And then sometimes, though, there's sometimes where there's no talking or guiding you through, you're just sitting there doing it yourself after you've picked up the practice a little bit.
and what was that first experience like? Because it sounds like once you did that, you were in.
By the way, in this process, most of the centers have maybe like 100 people, so 50 men, 50 women. And while you're not talking to them, other than those first 4 hours that first day, you're sitting in silence with them. You're sitting at a meal and saying nothing with them. You're walking on paths every now and then with them. And so you are not really alone, but you're kind of alone. So that's, I just want to highlight the difference
Mm-hmm.
between, doing it in a group versus individually.
Right.
And so your question was, what makes you do that again, or what makes you do it, period?
Yeah. What did you take away from
I
it? I guess. What was the light bulb moment where you went, I need this in my life?
I took away from it that there's so much going on in my head that if I do not create the time for stillness and to be present with myself, then all I'm doing is giving away my energy to other people,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't be as effective, productive, loving, compassionate. All the good things we want to be in life can be blocked because you're not tuned into yourself. Not only that, that's the kind of psychology and the relational aspects of it. But from the physiological or the body standpoint, and by the way, I am a stress researcher, so there is a piece of this that is linked to what I've studied
Right.
my whole life in the quest
Right.
to experience life more fully and less stressfully. The idea that we have some physical blockages, psychosomatic things are real. And so to be able to take that time to focus on yourself actually helps bring out some of those impurities that might be repressed in your body. And so that combined and experiencing that physically in the process taught me so much and made me say, I need to do this every year.
Modupe, let's get into what's special about silent meditation and what makes it special for you in particular. Where should we start?
We should start with the fact that this process has helped me get to know myself so well,
Mm-hmm.
so intimately, so deeply, to understand what thoughts pop up when and why is just, I mean, shouldn't we all know that? And I didn't. And I'm one of those people that I'm so stubborn in my head is always that I need silence to be able to hear more about what I need in my life and who I am. So that is one of the things that I think is priceless. And that's why every day for an hour, my biggest gift that I give to myself is that hour of time with myself, body scanning and being present with all the things that go on in my mind.
Just tactically, because when you said that when we were preparing for this, I went, man, where would I get an hour from? Do you start your day with it? Do you end your day with it? Do you have a
I start
timeout?
my day with it. I've tried to do the end the day with it, but you know what happens. It's 11 and you're tired and you're like, ah. So
We're
I
back to
start the
nap
day
time.
with it. Yeah, if I have an 8 a.m. meeting, I will be up at 6, meditate from 6 to 7, and then get my life together between 7 and 8. Yeah, so I have a dedicated place in my home where
Mm-hmm.
I sit and I do my meditation to take the variable about where am I going to do it out of the equation. if I have an early morning flight, so maybe I won't do it at home if I have an early morning flight, but the first thing I do once I get in that plane and it's taken off and the flight attendants won't bother me, I just sit there and I do my meditation. If I'm in a hotel, whatever, it's a part of my everyday life because it's been that powerful for me.
Is it challenging to do it when you're among other people? Like I would imagine doing it on a plane. Like are you just sitting in your seat, or do you try and go someplace, or are you doing it at the airport? I'm just trying to understand tactically what this looks like.
In the plane, I'm sitting in my seat and I just sit, eyes closed. Sometimes I'll put in my headphones and do the guided meditation and
Hmm.
hear the voice of the instructor. Or sometimes I'll just sit on the plane, nothing in my ears, and just do the body scanning because that's what I've now done for 7 years every day. So,
Did
and I
you?
love it. I can tune out everything. Or even, if I'm at everyone knows, and I actually tell sometimes if I'm with somebody or a family or whoever for a weekend, I'm like, if you knock on my door and I'm quiet, it's probably because I'm meditating. Or if they don't have a dedicated space, I might sometimes have to sit in the living room and I'll put like a scarf over my head or something so people know that's my meditation time. And like even my partner knows like my hour of meditation, it happens wherever we are. And so, yeah, it's just a part of everything.
Mitube, how did you do this before you learned to meditate? Because we have things at work and professionally, and given your research as literally a stress researcher, I'm sure you had some techniques to do this, but it sounds like this really unlocks something different. So, what's different about it? Is it like prayer in some ways?
So here's the thing, I'm a practicing Christian. I know you are too. And it's different from prayer because prayer is about you talking to God or whoever it is that you pray to. This is about listening. It's about listening. And I realized that a part of the problem with my faith practice is that I talked a lot more than I listened. And in being quiet, I hear so many interesting messages and I get things and I learn things and I hear things. And I'm like, wow, if I hadn't been still, then all the noise from the world wouldn't allow me to hear these messages. And so that's been super powerful too, that we need to drown out all of the noise around us to be able to hear what our purpose is, to be able to hear what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And it becomes very clear, very clear. So that is also another thing that's huge for me. And don't get me wrong, it's not like every time I sit down, I'm like, ooh, now I'm gonna go do this. No, no. But every now and then there's a
Right.
powerful moment where I'm like, wow, that is exactly the way I'm supposed to go with this thing. And it astounds me. Astounds me.
People, and by people I mean really me, tend to think of meditation as really personal. It's a solo effort. I know when I do meditation, if somebody comes in the next room and rustles some papers, I'm all bent out of shape, which probably isn't the right mindset to do meditation in. But as I mentioned earlier, I've done over 100 of them on my Peloton app, and it's usually me by myself in my home. But you also told me that you have a community, and you talked about the Vipassana community or centers that you go to. I want to talk a little bit about that community and why that community of people is special to you.
Yeah.
Can you say a little bit about that?
Yeah. What makes me smile when I think about the Vipassana community or any meditation community that a person
Right,
has
right.
is the idea that other people want to spend 10 days in silence trying to get to know themselves better. That is a unique person. And the people that I have met in my Vipassanas, and by the way, you're only talking for like 4 hours for the first day. And then when silence is broken 10 days later is when you really get to know people and understand, what brought them there
Right,
or,
right.
what their experience was like or what was hurting them or what was harder for them. Or you have jokes about things that happen when you're like, that you just laugh about. Like, did you hear it when that person was burping all the time, anyway, so you have this a special bond that happens. And I keep in touch with many of the
Hmm.
people who have attended the Vipassanas that I've gone to, and there's nothing like it. I mean, I've got to share that my most recent one, I happened to realize after the 10 days of meditation that there was a person in there who I had taught before. She was a curator at a museum in UCLA, and I teach in a curatorial program. And so she was in that. And so that was like crazy. But here's what was even more deep. She went to this meditation because she was doing an exhibit on Alice Coltrane, who is the wife of John Coltrane. And Alice Coltrane was a Swami, and so she had done some meditation. And so this woman was like, I want to try to at least really get into what meditation is, given I'm curating an exhibit on Alice Coltrane. I had just learned about Alice Coltrane a couple months before from my partner.
Wow.
And so not only did that connection made me like, oh my goodness, but then we were able to go to her exhibit when it opened. And so there is nothing like seeing what 10 days of silence kind of helped manifest. And it
Right.
was genius, genius. So these are the types of connections and situations that happen when you're in a 10-day silent meditation that, again, are priceless. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up.
Now, you've also done these a lot of different places. So you've met
Yeah,
people, presumably from all over the world. I don't know that everybody
all of it.
says, first meditation, I think I'll go to India. But where else have you done these?
India, Nepal, Israel, Massachusetts, Texas, California. I think those are all the places. Yes.
And as somebody who likes to travel, are these like expensive, like luxury, like, you're a tenured professor, so you have the ability to go to these places?
No. So the thing about Vipassana meditation is it's free. They house you, they feed you for 10 days. And it's often kind of a location that is beautiful
Right.
and set out in the woods or in the mountains. So you're around nature in an incredible way. So it is free. And let me tell you, you go in and your room is like a bed, and sometimes, often, you have your own shower and your own bathroom and
Right.
everything.
Right.
But it is simple. I love it. I don't have to think about what am I wearing today? What am I not wearing today? I don't have to think about this, that, the other thing. It's just a simple bed. And by the way, they also you turn in your laptop, your phone,
Oh,
any books, any writing instruments, anything that you feel like will distract you or tempt you, you put it in a locker and you don't get it back till the 10th day. So I love that moment when I get there. I'm like, take my computer, take it all, take it all. I don't want to think about any of these things. It's amazing.
yeah, because I admit, I thought that silent retreat would include me reading a book quietly.
Nope, not this one, not this type. And I love it. I love that aspect of it. And it reminds you, you are not that important. People will be fine with you being away for 10 days.
I know it. And I have one more question about the community. Who are these people that take 10 days and do this? How diverse is the group?
Very. I mean, first of all, people come from all different countries. Some of
Hmm.
my closest friends from it are from Portugal or Iran or California or, like
Hmm.
all over the world. And people have all types of jobs,
Really?
all types of jobs. One thing, Yuval Hariri, who wrote the book Sapiens,
Hmm.
he does the same type of meditation. He sometimes does 60 days in silence. And supposedly the book Sapiens came out of one of his Vipassana 60-day or 30-day meditations. I am not there yet. I don't know if I will ever be. And by the way, I do have to say, I am not wedded to a type of meditation
Hmm.
tradition for
Okay.
people. This has worked for me. This is a process for me that is helpful. But I think anything that allows anybody to really just try to push out all the noise, try it. For some people, it might be 10 minutes and they get the benefit that my mind is all a mess. I need an hour. But maybe other people don't need that. Maybe some people need 3 days to get what I get out of 10 days. So I'm agnostic about how people choose to be in that silence. I just wish that more people would try it because what you get out of it is invaluable.
Modupe, I mentioned at the top that I expected to talk with you about your research and your professional life, and you took me to a totally different place. I did not have silent meditation on my bingo card. And when you said it with a big smile and you lit up, and I was like, I can say what I want, but this is clearly her home. Like, it was clear. When we're on Zoom right now, and the way you talk and the way you smile as you talk about and reminisce on the community and the value that you get from it, super clear. That said, I do think this is related to your work in some ways. So maybe you could just explain a little bit about what it is that you research and then how the connection to silent meditation makes it special, because it's bigger than just the retreats and the hour a day. I mean, you actually study some of the
Yeah.
effects of this and study this more than most.
I started studying stress for a couple of reasons. One is I realized that all my life stress was a part of it, and that there were times where it really negatively affected me, but other times where I thrived under it. I mean, we were at Bain. Bain is stressful. And getting to understand when stress can be harmful, when can it be helpful, was something really, really important for me. But one of the things that I've learned alongside my research is that not all stress is bad.
Right.
And the dominant message is that stress is bad. We should avoid it. We should run away from it. We should know. But our stress systems are evolutionarily based to give us the energy we need to thrive in a stressful environment or a life threatening situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one of the ways I talk about coping with stress is focused on welcoming your stress and acknowledging your stress and using it. And you can only do it if you know and understand what some of the sources of your stress are. If you know and understand how you typically react so that you can counteract that. And so the silence of meditation helps me get to know myself and the situations that make me stressed so that I can do something about it. And so that's one of the most powerful pieces for me, that I can practice what I preach by testing out and trying some of these stress reduction techniques, one of which for me has been meditation.
It's really interesting. For a bunch of different reasons, weren't performing the way we should have on the track team in college. And our
Mm-hmm.
coach actually brought in a sports psychologist to, like,
Mm-hmm.
we literally had a team shrink in college.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said two things that really stuck with me, and I keep those. I mean, we're 30, 40 years past that now. One was, get to be friends with the knot in your stomach. And he was like,
Yes.
before you perform, just like welcome it back. Like, hey, old friend, I guess we're doing this
Yes.
again. And then he said,
Yes.
it's okay to have butterflies in your stomach. Just make sure they're flying in formation. And it was
Yes.
about
Yes.
controlling your reaction to the stress. You know it's going to come, welcome it back, but don't let it sort of overcome you
Yeah.
and overwhelm you.
Right. In some of my research, I tell people right before stressful situations, if you find that your heart rate is increasing or that you're whatever, that's okay. That's a normal part of this process. And just remind yourself that it's your body preparing you for action. And people do better in negotiation. They do better, some other researchers found, on standardized tests when they know this. That self talk and that reminder that this is not a bad thing can be super helpful.
Now, I was going to bring this up later, but can we talk about Limitless for a second? Because I feel like a lot of what
Sure.
you just said, you talked about and demonstrated on Limitless. So for people who haven't
Yeah.
heard it, can you just say a snippet about what it was and how you connected that to your research and what you just talked about?
Yeah. So Limitless is a National Geographic docuseries featuring Chris Hemsworth. That's right, the Thor Marvel actor. And in the first episode of Limitless, called Stress Proof, I am Chris Hemsworth's stress coach. And I take him through stressful situations and give him tools to thrive in those
Mm-hmm.
situations,
Mm-hmm.
culminating in one big, really frightening
Which
situation.
I won't spoil,
I'll
but
leave it.
yeah,
Yes, I'll
that
leave
was
you in
yeah,
suspense.
that was insane.
Um, yeah,
What was neat about it was that you talked in terms like when you feel your heart rate going up or when you feel like you're getting a little bit of cold sweat. What was neat about that episode was that you actually hooked up monitors and, like, you could
yeah,
actually see and plot the graph of what was
yes,
happening as the stress built. And then you had some techniques and some coaching. And again, I don't want to spoil it, but it was neat because it's not just ideas. It's not just somebody talking.
no,
Like you would, you put science to it, and blended the
yes,
two in a way that was really neat to
yes.
see.
And that's what I love about doing physiological research too, is
Right.
that you can really see how the body is reacting to what's going on in the mind. And that mind-body connection is huge. And one of the reasons I really study this topic is that if we don't learn to be present with our stress, it'll take over. And stress is what leads to cardiovascular disease and heart attacks and cellular aging and cellular growth, which is linked to cancer. So we need to work on this because life is just getting more and more stressful.
Amen. Amen. Modupe, as we start to wrap up, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, what advice or tips would you give for people that listen to this and go, you know what, I want to try it. Maybe not 10 days, but I think I want to give this a shot and see if I can experience some of what Modupe is talking about. How should they even go about starting this?
First of all, there are so many tech mediated ways now to be
Right,
able to do
right.
whatever type of meditation you want. Go on the Calm app or the Headspace app or the this, that, the other thing. And you can find some type of guided meditation that might be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, you name it. Start somewhere, start small. And then if you like it and if it works for you, go from 5 minutes to a 10-minute one, then to a 15-minute one, and to a 30. I mean, if you want to keep increasing, do it. Because I found I went from 5 minutes to this 1 hour, and partially because my acupuncturist was like, if you're going to do this for 10 days, you need to at least be able to sit still for
For
an
an
hour.
hour. Right.
And before I knew it, I was able to do it. And so surprise yourself. Surprise yourself. And I remember I used to first set my alarm for like, if it was a 30-minute one, I'd set it for 15 minutes and I'd be like, "Whoa, I made it through 15 minutes. Okay, I can do another 15, 30. I'd be like, oh, I made it through 30. We are more capable than we believe we are. So just start with small steps. Try even a minute of
So you
deep
can have
breathing.
those types of interactions and not break the flow. Like if somebody stops you on the plane and says, "Would you like some water?" Like it doesn't ruin it. You don't have to start over or anything like that.
No, no, because some of this is also about not being judgmental and not judging every single and saying there's a perfect way to do this. So there are times where my monkey mind is all over the place, and I have to be, and instead of being like, "Stop making your monkey mind," up, I have to be like, "There they go again. There your mind goes again. Just bring it back. Breathe." So it doesn't matter what's going on in your context. Just go back to you.
Something tells me that's easier said than done, but worth a shot. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
as we wrap, I just want to give people a chance to hear from you where they can learn more about your research, the meditation retreats, and other projects that you're working on. Of course, I will add them all to the show notes, but it's worth mentioning them here while I have you.
Well, as I mentioned, you can check out Limitless on Disney Plus if you want to see or get more tools like the ones that I shared with Chris Hemsworth. My website, modupeakinola.com, has a lot of my research on there. And I also am the host of the TED Business Podcast. And basically, I give or share insights on really interesting TED Talks. And in there, there's a section on all the talks that I've shared thoughts on that deal with stress. So you can learn more about some of my work through that too.
And for Columbia Business School students, which classes are you teaching?
So I teach the core required leadership course. So there are 10 sections. I teach two of them. So you have a decent, well, a 1 in 5 shot of getting me. But I also teach a course on Rwanda, lessons
Mm.
from Rwanda on new business opportunities and conflict and leadership. And I also teach a course that was kind of generated from this meditation practice and this journey called Life, Keith, called Success, Satisfaction, and Sustainability. I call it all the things that we wish we had known when we were graduating from business school about what it looks like to define success for yourself, what satisfaction could look like, and then once you define those things, how can you ensure that you live or create conditions that are sustainable so that you really achieve your vision and goals. So those are my 3 courses.
Nothing to add to that except thank you. Thank you for doing this. We've been talking about it for a while, and I'm so glad we found time to make it happen.
My pleasure, and thank you for teaching me and reminding me where my home really is and what my home really is.
Thanks for listening to this episode of My Home is Special. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to get future episodes automatically. You can go to myhomeisspecial.com to see the full project and sign up for email updates. Be sure to follow KBevPhoto on Instagram or go to kbevphoto.com to see what I'm snapping these days. There's a lot on both to explore. For now, this is Keith, aka KBev, signing off. Peace.